Hey there, YouTubes. This is Grimweird coming back at you with more Project Ozone 3 Kappa mode playthrough action for Minecraft 1.12.2. So, lots of good stuff happening. Where to start? So, last time when we left off, I had just made myself a Dank Null Mark 4-ish or so. But anyway, I had forgotten to claim quest credit for 123, so I did go ahead and make a second Dank Null with 123 in it. And as we can see here, I've got stuff in it. I actually like the mining part of Minecraft, so I've already got 10,000 cobblestone and 17,000 stone in there from just running around vein mining. And then also I am going to go ahead and probably use this second one as building supplies. So I've got a bunch of Astral Sorcery stuff in there, some grass dirt, some cobblestone, some of the stuff that I use when I'm building. So it turned out to be okay to have a second one there. And I'm actually using it. And I'll probably grade it to a Mark 6 as well. So here's one thing. This is sort of embarrassing to admit, but I was building something and I needed more electrotine. I only had a few in here. I haven't set up any kind of automated sifting because, to be quite honest, I haven't really needed to yet. I just sift a couple things here and there, and it seems to work fine. I've got really good meshes in here, and it goes really fast. These are all the diamond ones are sieve efficiency 4, so I just breeze through stuff. I think it only takes like 4 clicks to do a stack, so it's no big deal. And also, if I set up automated stuff, then I also have to set up storage for it. So I'd have to set up a big drawer system and a bunch of infrastructure to deal with all of the crap I'd be getting from it. So I'm sort of waiting for an as-needed kind of basis, and I'm halfway hoping that I can make it to Applied Energistics ME system before I really need to set up an automated one. But anyway, so I was running low on electrotine, and I thought, oh, great, I'll just grab some sand out of my crusher and run a few stacks through, and I'll be good to go. So I ran a few stacks through and didn't get any electrotine, and I was like, well, that's weird. So I ran a couple more stacks through and didn't get any more, and so then I moused over it, and it said it had a 25% chance, and I was like, oh, great, what am I, bugged or something? Turns out that me being silly, I had electrotine in my Dank Null, and it was picking up into there as opposed to going into my inventory, so that confused me. So somewhat embarrassing, but hey, what am I going to say? I haven't done a lot of skyblocks, so I haven't done a lot of sifting. I did Enigmatica 2 Expert, and I set up an auto sieve there and put tons of stuff through it, but of course I wasn't standing there doing stuff. So this is the first time I've sifted with a Dank Null, and I just spaced. But anyway, so I do have electrotine now. I have 273 pieces and also 36 ore. One of the reasons this is so crowded is I semi-intentionally switch back and forth between my Luck 3 and my Silk Touch pickaxes when I'm vein mining around. So I have duplicates here. I have both sapphire ore and sapphires. And partially that's just because I'm not 100% sure if I need the ores in an unbroken form or not, or if there are better ways of getting things out of them than the Luck 3 on my pickaxe. So I've sort of been, just splitting it up. Let's see, pardon me, I have to clear my throat. Alright, so what else? I got my Dank Nulls. I got credit for my Dank Nulls. I forget what else I forget where I left off yesterday. It was Saturday, so I played a lot Saturday, and I'm playing a lot today. I got 194 buckets of naphtha from my newest naphtha cow. So we have that 194 for our combustion dynamo. We've also got 162 buckets of gasoline. We've also got 200 buckets of tree oil. So we've got lots of burnables for the combustion dynamo, but this is sitting at 54 million. And I really, other than like bashing all that stuff through the Empower last episode, I haven't really needed any power for anything yet. So I guess one of the first things we can do here is I just recently made enough rack to get us a flight bottle. So if we take a look at the log here, I did spend about an hour today just bashing through any easy quests that I thought we could finish. So on Alpha, is there anything new here? I don't think there. Oh, I just did the Cobble Generation 2 a little while ago for an easy 5 rack. That was just 8 blocks of iron, which I have plenty of iron for that. If we look here at beta, so I got credit for all of the Dake Null steps, and of course the Empower and Atomic Reconstruction stuff. So all of those actually addition stuff are done. Just to grab the points, I did go ahead and finish out the drawer and Yaba barrels. So I've got all of these points coming out me, and I looked at this stuff, but I don't think I have Stygian iron or ingots or know how to get them yet, or Stygian iron blocks. So haven't tackled that yet. But if we continue on, I've finished the Gamma tabs. So this is our first tab finished. I had these last 2 to do, Ash and Alchemy Through Fire, which I needed to make the Ember Crystal for opening up our Twilight portals. So today we will, probably at the end of the episode, or halfway through the episode, however long this goes, we will open the Twilight portal with that and zone into the Twilight Forest for the first time. And I can show you that machine and sort of how that went. I did some of the easy seeds for the mystical agriculture stuff. So I'd already done a nature seed because I needed some vines. But I did a few more things here. So that was another 20-30 points worth of stuff. That was all pretty easy. I did the thermopile because it was on its way to the thermoelectric generator for immersive engineering, so I made one of those too. I made some of this stuff that I was missing. I'm not actually using anything, like I'm not using the fermenter or refinery. I haven't set it up anywhere. I'm not sure I'm going to need it, and I haven't set it up yet. I haven't set up the treated water wheels because I'm not sure I've needed it. I have the thermoelectric generator in my inventory, and I'm probably going to set it up somewhere just to see how much power it creates in this mod pack. I want to do the garden cloche because those are always handy, but it requires an extended crafting table, which requires a block of bright crystals. So we got to get into Lord Craft first before we can do that. Continuing on here, let's see, where are we at here? That was that, and I did take a look at this portality. This actually looks sort of cool. I'm interested to give it a shot. I just I thought I was very low on electrotines, so I didn't do it. But now I realize I have plenty of electrotine for a while, so I may get into this and take a look at that. But I haven't done it yet. I'm not familiar with that mod, but I did watch a spotlight from, I believe it was maybe WiredBoy27 on YouTube. But I watched somebody do a spotlight on that, and it looks like an interesting mod. So I don't think I've done much more on Ender.io. Yeah, not much more on these. I did upgrade my satchel to signalum and inderium. So my satchel is now a resonant satchel with holding 4 enchantment. So it's a nice big size, so I'm happy about that. And what else? Yeah, industrial foregoing, haven't gotten into that. Haven't gotten into most of this stuff. I've actually done, and I'll show you that in this episode, I've done quite a bit of Astral Sorcery, but it's not open yet, and it won't be open until I get a pure crystal out of Lordcraft or whatever that is. And so, or maybe it's Landcraft, I get them confused. I haven't done either of them. So I've actually built a large quantity of this stuff just because I could, and because I like Astral Sorcery, but we haven't actually gotten credit for it yet. Anyway, bottom line is we have 775 rack, and it takes 768 to get a flight bottle. So let's go ahead and do that. So, not sure how to do this. I've never gotten to do this before. Rewards. Flight. Oops. Claim. Detect. Claim. Hello. Did I get it? Nice. Yeah, I think I have, yeah, here it is. I was going to say, I think I have my bottle on me because I had to take magnetize out because it was interfering with me playing with crystals. Now what? I think I right click on this and it goes into the bottle, I guess. Or do we craft them together? No. Maybe clicking on it was enough. No, I don't see it there. Let's see. How do you go in the bottle? Well, that was ominous. Oh, maybe it's not doing it because it says I need 83 player levels. Alright, so that's probably why it's not doing anything. I'm not 100% sure. 83 is an awful lot to have on you at once. But we can run up to my mob farm. I got all this going. I got 32 buckets in the tank and another almost 256 buckets in the backup. So let's just crank the faucet here and see what we can do. Sounds like victory. Looks like we're going to have plenty. Right now it's sucking it out of the backup tank. Uh-oh, maybe I spoke too soon. Watch it be like 79 or 78. Bar's moving awful slow. Come on, don't fail me now. You can do it. Yay. Alrighty, now what happens? Alright, I still might be missing something. How do I get you to go in the bottle? Oh, 83. For some reason I got 80 stuck in my head. Alright, here we go. Alright, now, will you do something? 83 power. I've got that. Click on the bottle, maybe. Do we need 83 and change? Let's take it up to 84 and see what happens. I could have sworn that when we got this, at the beginning of this, we just right-clicked and it added it. Oh, here we go. Yay. There it is. We're flying. Yay. Oh my God. Fantastic. This is a good thing. Hello, chickens. I can fly. You can't. Ha 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 ha. All right. We are in business. We can fly over to this island. Slimes. Guess this isn't too exciting, other than the fact that, yes, there is indeed a small Astral Sorcery temple here. Now I can fly down to y equals 5. I can set up a waterfall for a squid farm. I could bring my ember boar back over here and set it up down at y equals 5 if I want to. Up here you can see what I did to get away from the graphical bug from the Spectre illuminators, as I just put them up here on pedestals. I just did that by pillaring up the whole jump place kind of thing all the way up there. And then I got boots on, so I just slime boots on, so I just jumped off. Alright, we have flight. Now, I'm not sure I can actually use it in Twilight Forest, but it is going to be a handy thing to have in other places, like here. So now let's talk a bit about what I've been doing. I played, even though it's not really open in the quest book, I played around with Astral Sorcery a lot because I like it, and because you get all the goodies in Landia, which we were already there, even though it wouldn't let me play with the thing. So one thing you can see is that I now have some star crystals. What are those called again? Astrals. So I've got the celestial crystals. If we take a look at here at Astral, so I've got some aquamarines. I picked these up either from spawned temples in Landia, like that one past there us on our slime island. I also found some aquamarine in all the little ponds that are in the area, little lakes that are in the area. Some of them occasionally have one or two aquamarine shale in them. So I've crushed those in my immersive engineering crusher. Um, oh no, wait, no, I haven't. I've got star metal ore. Let's go take a look at that. I also did a fun thing. This is actually not that handy, not that useful, but I didn't get a chance to, or I didn't get around to making one in Enigmatica 2 Expert. So I made one of these celestial gateways, just because I was curious. Not that it's that handy or that useful or anything. But basically, you make this little structure minus the sea lanterns. The lanterns are just there for lighting up this sooty marble area because I didn't want to put another Spectre Illuminator over here. But when you step up on this, you get like a sort of false sky of stars. And then when you place other ones in the other places, including other dimensions, you can name them on a anvil. And so, for instance, I named the one of these little guys, one of these celestial gateway things, Landia Altar. And if I mouse over that and hold home, you get this neat little graphic, and use teleport there. And then if we, as we lag, and then if you walk away, so now you can see if I wanted to go home, there's a yellow star that says home. And so I can take this home too, and I can add other stuff in other dimensions. This has to be either open to the sky or against, or the structure has to be against bedrock, is what I'm reading. So if we come here, this is one of the this was one of the pre-generated structures in Landia. I started out, so this is a pre-generated floating crystal, which now calls itself a collector crystal because I've clicked on it with the linking wand. And so you can use these pre-generated ones to transmute things like sandstone into instone. So I have some instone now. Haven't figured out what to do with it yet, but I have some. And you can also turn iron ore into star metal ore. And I didn't bring any more iron ore with me, but basically you can just, if you're not familiar with Astral Sorcery, once you get to the tier 2 altar, which is the Starlight Crafting altar, you can make this linking tool, and the linking tool allows you to right click on a crystal, either a pre-generated one or one that you've placed yourself in the world, right click on it, and then right click on blocks in the world, and the starlight will transmute those. And it does a few interesting recipes. Probably the only two that are super interesting at this stage are, well, three maybe. Pumpkins to cake, I believe, is one of them. Let's take a look at that. Actually, if we do this, starlight transmutation, so probably if we just go use, yeah, so you can turn magma block into obsidian, not very useful. You can make obsidian pretty easy in this pack. Sand into clay, similarly, it's easy to make clay in this pack. Diamonds into emerald, that might be useful, but diamond ore is harder to come by, I think, than actual emeralds. The raw ore, at least. You're going to probably be sieving for a lot of diamonds and emeralds. Netherwort into soul sand. Again, I think soul sand's easier to get than netherwort blocks, but sea lanterns into lapis, maybe. Sandstone into instone. This can allow you to potentially get instone considerably earlier than going to the end for it. Netherrack into nether brick. That might be useful. But iron ore into star metal ore, that's the key one. And maybe pumpkins into cakes. Might be another one that you're interested in at some point. And then you can see I broke the blocks, but the rays of light are still going there. So if I were to plop down 3 new iron ore here, or 3 pumpkins, for instance, then this would start working on them as well. And then if I ever need to clear the links, I can shift right click and unlink everything. And now you can see those rays of light are gone. If you link more than, I would say, maybe 3 or 4 ones in parallel, it has a tendency to sort of slow down so much. So I find 3 or 4 to be plenty. So again, to point out my gaffes. So this is part of the original thing that was here. And then if you come down here, this was the bottom of the original multiple floor structure that was here. And I didn't build my thing down here because I thought to myself, okay, this collector crystal is directly under the other collector crystal. So I would bet you that it's going to block, the top one would block the access to the sky of the second one. So I sort of thought that and knew it, and everything was cool, and everything was fine. So then I built this structure, and I built it all out, and placed it so that this was right under the crystal, knowing that this had to see, the starlight altar had to see the sky, and knowing that this might block that, I still placed the table directly under this damn collector crystal. So then I had to pick up everything and blow out this wall and move it over. So that was sort of silly. But fortunately, I do already have the copy-paste tool from Building Gadgets. So it's actually probably still in there. So as you can see, I just sort of copied the one that I built and then destroyed it and then moved it over one and placed it again. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And the building tools make constructing stuff pretty darn easy. Like these big ass walls, I just basically built them up really fast with a building tool. So if you've never used those, they're a good thing to get used to and to play with. As you can see, I've got spectral illuminators out here. After I built this, I thought to myself, oh, a celestial gateway. I never got around to making one of those in my last world. I should make one here. It's probably not that useful. I mean, my bases are only that way. And now that I can fly, getting to and from my base is no big deal. I sort of didn't realize I was going to get flight so quickly, though. But you can see we're not that far away from my base, or my entry point into Landia. But yeah, I did go around, and now that I can fly, it's going to be even easier. But you can find some aquamarine shale in some of these little ponds. I also went and hunted some squid in some of these ponds to get some black dye. You can also find plenty of these black lotus that will also work for black dye. So the fact that I don't have a squid farm back in the overworld is not that big of a deal. What else? Is there anything else I need to talk about in Landia? Probably not. There's a squid. I think I have plenty of squid now, though. So I think what I'm going to do is... Oh, I misfired on my... No, I didn't. It just looks weird because of... I like to build a lip because there's plenty of spiders here, and the spiders won't go up over this lip. When they try and go up the wall, they get stuck here. Like that guy. Can't get in. And the landlords don't usually fly up high enough to come in here. And if I am out running around, I do have a little thing here. Usually if you put a little zigzag in your doorways, things don't follow you in or can't figure it out. Mobs aren't that smart. But anyway, let's go take a look at what else I'm doing with Astral Sorcery. I do like that effect. I probably won't actually use this much or build a bunch of these, mostly just because I think we're going to have other easier, simpler ways to teleport. Um, so I got now, let's see, having to use these so that I didn't scoop these up when I didn't want to. Let's take a look at the crystals I'm growing. Once you get, the reason I was in a hurry to get the star metal ore, this stuff, is that once you get some dust, you can start turning rock crystals into celestial crystals. So I did that, and I just did like 4 of them. And out of the first 4 I got one that was a 91%, one that was at 96% purity, and then a couple that were lower, like in the, I think like 76 and 81 may have been what they were. So I just threw the low ones in here. This guy has been in here forever, and it's got he's made at least, I think there was only 19 barrels when I put him in here, and now there's 135 barrels. So don't be shy. I mean, in this mod pack, you can easily get tons of rock crystals, and then it's literally just one dust of star metal to turn them into celestial crystals. And you don't want to be bothering when you can get them this easily. You don't want to be bothering with anything that's like below purity 90% anyway. I wouldn't even necessarily bother with anything below 90% because the purity and all of these stats don't matter for anything that you're crafting or anything that, you know, is part of a crafting recipe. They're really only going to be mattering for things that you place in the world for like your rituals or to as collector crystals. So literally you can just use these up because they're much easier to get than aquamarines so far. Use these up to create your star metal, and then when you get ready to make good crystals that you're actually going to use in the world, like as a collector crystal, that you placed like the floating crystals back at the at our starlight or at our star altar in Landia, or as something to buff a ritual. When you're actually going to use those, you're going to use these celestial crystals anyway. And since you have so many of them, make a bunch of these and only bother upgrading the ones that are really close to 100%. So out of the first 4 I got a 96 and a 91, and I went ahead and started building those 2 up. I started burning the 76 and the 81, I think they were over there. So right now I've got a 1 perfect celestial crystal, 900 size, 100% purity, 100 cutting. This is where I ended up with the 91%. I didn't bother finishing it off. I might use this on some ritual. The difference between a 91% purity and a 100% purity is not going to be that huge, to be honest. Here I have like a spare 96% just hanging out in case I need to make more. These 4 are all at 100%, and I'm currently growing them. When they grow to a size approaching 900, I'll up the cutting to 100% on these 4, and then that will take the size back down. And then I will go ahead and let's go ahead and show you. I'll take this guy. It's a max size of 900, and this guy is at 737. So I want to get the cutting up on him, so I'll place him on the grindstone here. And we'll just give this maybe about 15-20 licks, and then shift right click to get it back off. And there he is, 100% cutting, 100% purity. And now I just got to grow him in liquid starlight until he's back up to 900, and I will have a second perfect crystal. And I probably got enough size to get these guys as well. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. If you grind too far and take the size down too low, they will break. So you want to be a little bit careful about over grinding. 95. There, so it's at 190. So now I just got to grow it up to full size, grow that one up to full size. This guy, we can cut it up to, or we can grind it up to 100%. Pretty easy. It's going to be about maybe 20, 24 clicks. There we go. And this guy, sure, let's get him too. $92, another couple clicks. And there we go. So now we're at 100% purity, 100% cutting on all of these bad boys. Now we're just going to soak them in several barrels of liquid starlight to get them all to 900 size. And that will bring us up to 5 perfect maxed out celestial crystals, and then 1 at 91%, and etc. So you can automate this. I haven't bothered because, quite frankly, I'm getting into this early enough that it's really not that big of a deal to just occasionally throw buckets on them. And I may never use these. I may just use one. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. Missed. Yeah, nice. And you can see they're working because the blue particles are coming off of them. Even without my magnet, I had built a little stand here for me so I didn't suck them back into my inventory. And I had to take my magnet out while I was working on these. So another thing we can talk about is Co-Rail Tombstone. That's one that's new to me. If we look at my knowledge of death, I'm up to level 4, which means I have 4 points to spend on this stuff. I decided to go with Rune Inscriber first. I maybe should have gone with something else, but I sort of like these tablets. So the reason I stopped here, there's 2 ways to get points, and I sort of didn't realize at first. One is every 3 hours in game you can pray, and it gives you a buff and gives you a point towards working on this meter. So that's, coming up through here. So this is going to probably take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11-ish points to get up through level 4. And when I get to the meter comes up to here, I'll get another point to spend down here. A 5th point to spend down here. So you can get those points by right-clicking on the ground, your Ankh of Prey, near a decorative tombstone. But I wasn't quite sure what else to do with this mod pack. Well, then I realized that you can also make these tablets, and they're actually dead cheap to make if you have Graves Dust coming from your mob farm. At Co-Rail. So you can make strange tablets. That is just 2 Graves Dust, and the dark marble is just stone and Graves Dust. So for a total of 4 Graves Dust, you can get a strange tablet, and then you can mix those strange tablets with something else. I'm using bone dust or bone meal to get a tablet of recall. This is the one that I'm concentrating on. It allows you to teleport to a memorized location, and you have to right-click on a grave soul to link. And I had no idea what that meant or what to do about that, but I finally figured it out. So when these decorative graves have that little purple swirly thing above them, that means they have a grave soul on them. So now if I take, you can see this one's activated. It has 5 uses, and if I take one of these unactivated ones and click it on there, it now activates it, and we also got a point. So if we open up here, you can see, boom, I'm now up to 2 here. So I've been watching now. I just figured that out recently, and so now I've been watching, and whenever that purple swirly comes back, you can see I made, you can see I made a bunch of blank ones of these since they're so cheap to make. It's literally just stone and Graves Dust and bone, which I have tons of for my mob farm. So occasionally I click the Ankh when I see that it's ready to go, And occasionally I'm going to be doing these to get these up. And I pick these because that teleport is sort of handy, and the levels in this give you a chance to not spend a charge when you use it. So they have 5 charge each, and now I will shortly have a 50% chance of not spending that charge when I use it. So I've got one set for the home base. I have a couple in my inventory here. I've got one set for a home base, and I can also set them for other places of interest. So that's pretty cool. And those scrolls are pretty cool too. So the Scroll of Knowledge lets you store knowledge in it. There's plenty of ways to store XP in this game, so that might not be really worth it. The Scroll of Preservation makes it so that if you die while this buff is on, you don't lose your experience or any buffs that are on you, so that could be handy. Unstable Intangibility makes you immune to damage for 1 second out of every 5. However, this one does take a gas tier. The blank scrolls are cheap. They're just paper and sticks with graves dust, so those are cheap. Feather falling, that's an easy one to make if you want to make them. I might make a bunch of these just to level up my knowledge. Just make these and click them and see if I get points for clicking those, as well as for clicking the tablets or for making these, like I did for making the tablets of recall. Purification, this takes a lapis. This is pretty cool. It's probably lasts like, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, unaugmented. Longer if you put your points into extending scroll duration. But basically it just continues to try and dispel negative effects on you. So that could be really handy. And then Reach, that's something I would use a lot in mining. However, it does take a sunflower, which is not the easiest thing to find early on in this game. So I have used a couple of these for vein mining. I find vein mining with an unbreakable pick and a long reach to be quite fun for just filling up your dank null with good stuff. But I'm getting plenty of these out of loot bags. So yeah, if you come to your farm, the epic and legendary and artifact loot bags have those scrolls. I have 336 artifact loot bags. So even if I took them out as epic, I have over 5,000 epic bags, 1,300 legendary bags. So I've got plenty of bags. I've started condensing my sulfur because I realized that was compressible. The farm is still going nice. Everything is going well. Here's my grave dust collection, so you can see I have plenty of stacks of grave dust. I do want to hold on to some of this though, because I do notice that it is used for impregnated diamonds, which are used in some advanced in-game crafting. So I want to be careful not to use too much of this up. If we take a look at that, you can see it's necessary for crystalline ingots, and crystalline ingots are going to be used for a number of things. Doesn't look like something you need to make a lot of though, so might not be that big of a deal. Just know that there are some in-game uses for graves dust and react accordingly. Save yourself a little for the in-game. This guy's still chugging along. We're up to 144-ish buckets. Another thing we did for Astral Sorcery was went and I made a telescope, so it's not nighttime. It's almost nighttime. We'll come back and look at this at nighttime. I made... where'd I put it? Somewhere around here. I forget where. Here it is. I made the 3rd tier out of 4 of the altars. This one takes a big place, a big, like, I don't know, 11 by 11 at least spot. So I'm probably going to build myself an Astral Sorcery platform out this direction, which is why I've cleaned up this stuff. That'll be easier now that I can fly. Yay. Oh boy. I wonder how much of this stuff I've gotten. I sort of forgot I've continued making tainted soil. I think I've got enough. I'm gonna put some of this in my inventory to remind myself to make myself a bucket of. Start putting this into a big drum as opposed to continuing to make soil with it. But yeah, we're gonna set up the third level crafting terminal for Astral Sorcery. I'll probably put the attunement altar, which is another big structure. I'll probably put that in Landia, over with those places I just showed you. You can see there's, I think that's Dissidia, if I recall correctly. Yeah, that's actually the one I want to attune myself to, probably. So I have found one. It was almost dawn when I placed this, but I was able to find one. There's Dissidia. Oh, here's another one. Let's see, that one looks like maybe Armara. Yeah, that should be Armara. So we're going to left click pull to draw between the stars. Am I doing that right? No, I totally botched that. Let's clear that and come back. Dips down like that, and that. This is the defensive one, so I think this is sort of like a shield in shape. And I drew it wrong, didn't I? I think that one's probably not close enough. We'll give this one more shot. Be a little bit more careful about how I connect these. And we'll just do this one on camera. I'll find the rest of them some other time. There we go. Armara. So now we have Dissidia. That's sort of the offensive one, I think. And Armara. So if we take our tome out, Akashic Tome, and we take the Astral Tome out. And now under constellations, for ones I don't have, like Evortio, there's no information here. But now for the ones that I have discovered, like Armara, now there's some information here for us to look at. So that is something that confused me the first time I played this, is that it is a two-step process. If I shift right-click with my book in my hand, you can see I got these constellation papers. When you first get these constellation papers, they say, hey, you discovered this. So I thought I was done. I thought they were completely discovered and whatnot. But that's not true. You first have to discover them, and then you have to draw them. So you need to make this stuff. So here's another one that we can draw, and that one is probably... that one looks like probably a Vetus. But I'll draw that some other time. I'm not in any hurry. The one I want to attune myself to is the Dissidia. Light from this constellation seems to be unstoppable, piercing both materials and creatures alike. And so this is sort of the offense one. But yeah, anyway, so I will build another platform off of here. It's going to be super fast now that I have building gadgets and can fly. So we will build another one out there, and we'll build our tier 3 celestial altar out there. I'll build an attunement altar Well, that's the thing. It's like I'm not 100% sure I can attune myself that I can see the constellations in Landia. Let's go look and see if anything shows up there. I might have to build the attunement altar here. I'm not sure how the dimensions work. If I have to build it, I have to build it. It's just going to mean a big platform for... Yeah, see, I'm not really seeing any stars here. So it's entirely possible that the attunement altar will not work in this dimension. I'll just go ahead and build it in the overworld. I could try it here. By the way, it's nighttime, but I have night vision on. If you're wondering why the graphics look a little strange. That was one of the reasons I was in a hurry to get star metal dust and star metal ore, is because it costs you star metal dust to put night vision on your helmet with the Ender IO enchanter, or enchantment pedestal, I believe it's called. But yeah, so that was another reason I wanted to do this sort of faster than waiting until I was through with, or waiting until I had unlocked whatever it is I'm waiting for, Landcraft or Lordcraft or whatever it is. So this isn't too exciting, but I do make a point of throwing more buckets of stuff on this whenever I run by here. And checking my gravestone to see if it's got another purple swirly on it. Alright, so what else? This guy is still going, still hasn't broken. We're up to 150 buckets. Have I done anything? Oh, I was going to show you. Right, so let's talk about going to the Twilight Forest. So to open up the Twilight Forest, you need to sort of go a step further on Embers. So this is one of the quests is a cinder plinth. The cinder plinth, which is sitting on a bin so that it deposits stuff into the bin. The cinder plinth, you can basically put like stuff in it, like say a stack of cobblestone, and supply it with power. And again, that's sort of a, I'm using the, what's this thing called again? The pressure refinery. Turns ember into ember energy, I guess is what you'd call it. The ember emitter is then shooting it over to my copper cell, which is a battery, through this ember receptor, and then I got an emitter here linked over to these guys. You change the linking by clicking on it with your tinker hammer. You shift right click on the destination, and then just shift click. The spot's still burning, bothers me. And then shift click on the place that's delivering the stuff. But anyway, so you shoot power over to this guy, and it will turn cobblestone into ash, or dirt into ash, or whatever you have that you want to burn. You right click on the bin to pull the stack out when it's done. Over here, you've got sort of a little crafting table type situation wherein you've got 5 spots in here. If we take a look at the recipe, you've got 5 spots, and you place another quartz on the top, gunpowder on each of the sides, and then ember shards on the other 2 sides. So in other words, if I were to do that, let's just grab something here. Grab a couple of these as a example. So one thing to watch out for is that you use shards, not crystals. And then when you're trying to put things into the side spots, you click on the side and see how it goes up there. So if I click on this side, it goes up there. Right click again to pull it back out. And right click to pull it back out. If you click on the top, it goes in the middle. If you click again with something in your hand, it adds to a stack. So you can see you can take in and put out 2. So that's another thing to watch out for, is that you got to make sure you singulate these things and only put 1 gunpowder on each side, only 1 shard on each side, and only 1 nether crystal in there. So the quest makes you make an alchemy pedestal, but it turns out you do need to make 2 of them. You end up having to make a second Dawnstone Aspectus too. If we right click here, this is the Dawnstone Aspectus. This is the one you can make in your smeltery by putting one of these shards in a casting table and then pouring the gold copper alloy, Dawnstone alloy, onto it, and it makes a Dawnstone Aspectus. And you right click to put it in there. So these act as sort of the catalyst to guide the recipe. You put the stuff in the middle to do it. This recipe here, you can see it also tells you it needs a Dawnstone Aspectus. Now here's where it got a little funky, and I had to Google this to figure it out. This is basically how much ash it takes. So ash is something that you put into here. So you right click in this area to put ash into these alchemy pedestals to basically fuel your Aspectus. And if we take a look at that recipe again, it is taking 64 to 80. That means you have to find the magic number. So basically you're going to waste 1 attempt just figuring out how much it really needs. And each pedestal will only hold 64. So the first time I did this, I put 64 in 1 pedestal, did the operation, and it of course failed, and I got chemical waste. And it says the Dawnstone inaccuracy was 8. So 64 plus 8 is 72. So that means I now know how much it takes to make this. It takes 72 ash. So 64 in 1 and 8 in another. And then the other thing you have to do to supply energy to this situation is you have to beam power over here to the beam cannon, and you fill this up, and then put the lever on the actual beam cannon, and you push this, and it shoots a hot beam of power and here to activate it. So basically that was this whole situation. I did take a look at some of the other stuff, the weapons and tools and armor and baubles that are in Embers, and I think I'm going to give them a pass this time. They do look sort of fun and interesting. In particular, I sort of like the idea. The armor, you can build socketed stuff for them, so you can build these things, take damage to attune those gems or whatever they are to that damage, and then socket those into your armor to make yourself even more resistant to that type of damage. So that seems like a sort of cool and powerful thing, but we've already got really good armor here that's already very well enchanted, so I think I'm going to give it a pass. This is as far as we needed to do in this particular quest book. And as you can see, with the ash from the cinder plinth and the alchemy through fire, we got that done. And if we come down here to Lambda, we can see that we had the glimmer crystal. We can now throw the glimmer crystal into our water and open up the Twilight Forest. So I'm going to pause here and see where we're at. You can see I've got my glimmer crystal ready to roll. I'm going to pause here and see what our runtime looks like, and then we can head to the Twilight Forest for the first time ever. First time this one. I did go to the Twilight Forest and bash through that in my Enigmatica 2 Expert playthrough. I have this all set to go, so I will be back in a moment. Alright, and it looks like I've been babbling for almost an hour already. It's amazing how the time flies when I get to talking. But let's go ahead and get her done. So we're just going to toss that in there. Ow. Don't burn up everything. Oh, not my fence. I hope we didn't still need flowers here. Alrighty, so we have a thing here. Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time to go exploring, but let's jump on in and see where we're at. Now, Twilight Forest doesn't tend to be super hostile right when you log in, so I'm not going to throw up my traditional pillbox of beachhead type structure. If I decide to build anything over there, we will pick an appropriate place and waiting for the world to zone in. But I don't think we're going to be in any immediate danger, I hope. Alright, well it looks like, yep, we can't use our flight here, which is typical. Just get flight and can't use it. Alright, so let's look around and see what we're up against. We're in an enchanted forest biome. Gotta watch for holes in this place because there's lots of holes like that. We've already got some sort of structure here. Is that a questing ram? Oh my god. How lucky is that? It is a questing ram. I can't believe we actually spawned right next to a questing ram. For those that don't know, the questing ram is sort of one of the last things you do, or usually one of the last things you do, I think, in the progression here. I gotta mark this. New portal. And what you do is you feed it like 16, one of each of the 16 colors of wool, and you get a little trophy, and possibly a prize or something, I forget. But it is one of the things that we will have to do. And it only spawns in Enchanted Forest biome, which usually you have to go looking for. Quest ram is a very rare and special mob that spawns in a quest grove. A quest grove is like a little area within an enchanted forest. So you feed it all, blah, blah, blah. And you get 1 block each of iron, gold, emerald, lapis, and diamond, as well as a crumble horn. So that could give us, if we make we have a ton of wool from our demon sheep in our mob farm. So if we get the right dyes, which isn't too hard to do once we have Botania, we can make a ton of this, and that could be a good source of especially diamond and emerald blocks for us. It would be pretty easy, I think, to make a stack of each color of wool and end up with 64 diamond blocks and 64 emerald blocks in short order. They also are very valuable because they only spawn in the quest groves, which are found only in the Enchanted Forest, a forest rare in and of itself, and the quest groves only have a chance to spawn. Yeah. So that is pretty darn remarkable. Pretty darn remarkable. This is the first thing that has been like jaw-dropping luck in this mod pack. So I'm happy with that. And we did have a very good zone in experience. There are no monsters around, which I didn't expect there to be. One thing that I'll probably do here is, unless I find a reason to, I'm going to probably stick pretty close to the portal here. I want to go do some digging around. We got to find more crystals for whatever it is that we're doing here. But I'm going to go ahead and put a cave illuminator up on top of this tree. And now what this will do is it'll start lighting up everything below us. So anything with a roof over it that counts as a cave, it'll start lighting it up. So then when I come down in here, in fact, we may already have some lights forming down here. Or that might be torchberries. It's torchberries. But anyway, so we're gonna light up the underground so that when I decide to go mining here in between episodes, we will have plenty of pre-lit area. The other thing that's really handy about doing that is that it does allow you to see when you look at your map. Let's see if we can get it to do it. If I go underground and open up my map, and then basically it'll allow us to see what kind of caverns are down there and if we have any interesting areas to explore. Pardon me, I have to clear. Sorry, had to cough. Anyway, it's a great zone in. It's a great find being that close to the questogram. So probably next episode, I think I'm going to start out with just some mining and some exploring here. I'll probably locate. I think the first boss we're supposed to fight is the Naga, so I gotta locate a Naga place. So I'll do. Well, we can't fly here. Creative flight is deactivated here. We can still do the also fun gliding around with our slime shot. So this will allow us to cover ground pretty quick. So this might be something. This hill might be something. It might be have a big open area under it, full of monsters and stuff, and ores. I don't know what they're called, fairy hills or something. If we come up to the top here, we can look around and see what we're up against. There's like a druid house. There's probably a druid skeleton. A druid skeleton spawner over in that house. Basically, I'm just going to fly around and look for our first boss, which is the Naga. And maybe I'll go ahead and film that. Dwarf rabbit. Oh, the other thing I wanted to look for is I wanted to see if Botania flowers spawn here. I'm not seeing what looks like a lot of them. I'm seeing lots of poppies and dandelions. Oh, there's some other types. Some other types of flowers. But I think they're still normal flowers, not mystical ones. One thing I'll do is you can actually get a lot of your colored wool from hunting the very colorful bighorn sheep here. So I'll probably do some sheep whacking as I run around exploring. But I'm not really seeing... Oh, well, here's the Naga place. So boom, we've discovered the Naga. I don't have time to fight it in this episode. So we might go fight that next time. But now we've got one. So I'm going to call it here. And sorry, my throat is freaking out. Damn allergies. So I'm going to call it here. Thanks for watching. We got wolves. And big ass trees. And what was that? Oh, these sulfur things. Anyway, I'm going to call it here. Thanks for watching. I will come back and we'll probably have another episode pretty quick because I want to start fighting through these bosses. Um, but maybe to keep myself busy the rest of tonight, I will just do a bunch of mining here to see what the mining looks like in this area. There's a dark forest over there, so that's another place that we're going to have to look for a boss. Oops. I'm lost. I should go. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again next time.